Christmas Music Collections for the Soul, a story of faith and perseverance. On a snow-dusted Christmas Eve, Ron Clancy and 40 other first-grade boys at St. John's Orphanage in Philadelphia attended their first midnight mass. To this day, Ron has never forgotten the feeling of awe he had on entering the orphanage chapel. The magnificent crèche on the side of the altar, the ceremonial burning of frankincense, and the lush fragrance of Christmas firs tethered to the pillars throughout the chapel created an intimate scene. But what mostly enhanced Ron's sense of wonderment was the beautiful singing of Christmas carols by a choir of nuns, the sounds of which seemed to spiral heavenward as though on the wings of angels. For a 6-year-old boy, the experience of that midnight mass inspired a passionate love for Christmas carols and music. That love was rekindled in the late 1970s and early 1980s when Ron began to attend as many church Christmas concerts as possible. The exposure to the melodies of ancient Christmas carols and sacred music, little heard on radio, so impressed Ron that he began to assemble a sizable and eclectic Christmas music library. 10 years later, he gift-wrapped some of it for each of his friends as a 4-cassette Christmas present. Each gift was accompanied by a small, typewritten directory with a jotted line of information about each carol. For example, "Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly" read anonymous 16th century Welsh carol. In 1989, Ron's friends encouraged him to do something about his passion for Christmas music. He decided then to create the ultimate Christmas music collection, and eagerly he set out on a new course in life. His bold dream was to compile the fascinating stories about 185 Christmas carol and music titles in one collection packaged with 10 cassettes of music. He called his hors d'oeuvre a Christmas festival of great music, songs, and carols, and the following year he was granted his first copyright. 2 years later, a close friend built a wooden box prototype and gave it to Ron as a Christmas present. The attractive box showcased a large, colorful book and the 10-cassette collection. At the same time, Ron had acquired his second copyright. Ron then produced a brochure using images of the prototype in an effort to attract a publisher or record company to his cause. There were no takers. For 5 years, Ron had researched Christmas music by warming the wooden chairs in countless esteemed libraries, buried in his research, surrounded by towering stacks of books about carols. But meanwhile, he still had to earn a living as an executive recruiter for high-tech companies. Looking over his project in 1995, Ron felt something was missing. A light bulb then went off. Art! The project needed colorful art. That meant more research. And once again, while the snow was falling and friends were calling yoo-hoo, Ron found himself holed up in more libraries, lurking among their dusty shelves and going cross-eyed, wading through stacks and tomes of art books, looking for just the right images to illustrate the carol stories. He even pawed through large collections of Victorian Christmas cards and old sheet music covers, not filed neatly, but dumped in dusty old boxes. He literally looked at tens of thousands of images. But that was only the half of it. Most of the images he wanted to use were protected by, you guessed it, copyright. At least by then, Ron knew the drill. Amassing what he believed would be one of the finest collections of Christmas art to go along with the fascinating carol stories, Ron became more excited about his project. So sure of its uniqueness, he knew a publisher would eventually snap it up. The CEO of Harry N. Abrams Incorporated, the highly respected art publisher, was impressed with Ron and told him he was trying to raise Christmas music above the mundane. The publishing company then tried to get Reader's Digest on board. The response was, "Not invented here." Ditto for Time Life Music when it learned all about the copyrights involved. After 11 years of dogged research and with no publisher willing to risk taking on his overly ambitious project, Ron decided to go it alone. So in the year 2000, he filed for his 4th copyright, maxed out his credit cards, and published Best Loved Christmas Carols, the first volume of his planned 10-part series newly titled The Millennia Collection. A year later, American Christmas Classics, the second volume in the series, was successfully launched. Ron would eventually author 2 more collections titled Children's Christmas Classics and Sacred Christmas Music. Since then, the story of Ron's faith, hard work, and perseverance to create magnificent Christmas music collections has been covered in newspapers and magazines across the country. Ron has also appeared on numerous radio shows and television, including QVC Shopping Network, EWTN Cable Network's Bookmark, the PBS program Religion and Ethics Newsweekly, New York's The God Squad, and Comcast's Real Life with Mary Amoroso. And the cost of these exquisite box collections? At surprisingly low prices. American Christmas Classics' richly illustrated book comes with 3 CDs. Best Loved Christmas Carols includes a lavish book, a CD of all 25 carols, and a bonus songbook. Both are available now at www.christmasclassics.com.